Hey, and welcome back. I have the lovely Matt with me again for the next episode. And we spoke a lot about the photography side of life and how you got into things, how you got into fitness photography, which is been really interesting. And now we're going a little bit more into the bodybuilding side of things. And obviously we've both spoken about kind of the journey that you've been on and sort of understanding that bodybuilding prep side of things with your shoot. And obviously for myself. Now, Matt, you photographed for one of the girls in the gym, Charlie, for Fitex a 3 years ago, I think. And I think that was when we first came across Charlie. And that was, I think, how long I've known of you for. And I find as well, like being sort of in the industry, you follow people, you follow the photographers, you follow sort of who's doing what, especially for different federations. And at that time, I was trying to figure out for the following year, kind of the federations that I was going for, which was really interesting. And obviously you photographed my show last year for the one that I won in Wales with NFM, which was epic. And yeah, the bodybuilding side of things for stage photography. I guess obviously you spoke about briefly in the last podcast how you kind of touched on working with those federations. So how did it kind of grow from there? Did you kind of think I'd like to get further into this aside from the shoot side of things, or?
Yeah, so started doing the whole thing with the two mates.
Yes.
the two family members.
Yes.
And then that sort of like so we've done like 3 or 4 shows. And then I was like the main like stage photographer for doing that. So I was originally employed just to do like side of stage, get like the fancy sort of shots and stuff.
Yes.
And then Jodie was doing like the front of stage, and then switched over, and I was doing like the front of stage stuff. And then
was that quite scary? Or I say scary, it probably wasn't. I guess was that in your eyes, was that quite a big step? Like, did it sort of change the game, or sort of how you viewed sort of that side of things? Or
yeah, it was quite nerve-wracking. Because it was like the first show, like not knowing what to do, and not being like set up for it.
Yes.
And what I mean by set up for it is like, yes, I had a camera, had a lens, I could shoot photos, but like not to the level that I turn up to a show with now. So literally, I just had a camera, and then I think there was a tripod that Jodie had there, and it was just like a ball head tripod, which was fine. I just ended up like overshooting.
Okay.
So I might come away with like 20,000 photos or something like that, something ridiculous, because I'm just
quite,
like, oh my god, I don't want to miss a moment.
And it's quite fast paced, so for depending on what kind of fed it is, but there's a lot going on. You have X amount of competitors in front of you. You've got to try and catch their comparisons. And again, for those who are still sort of finding the bodybuilding side of things quite interesting and not that knowing of it, you kind of all line up, you do kind of all the same shots sort of going around in a circle. And
a circle?
A circle, you kind of rotate.
Oh, I thought it was like, what show goes around in a circle?
No, but I guess that's the best way to describe it.
Yeah.
And you capture that. And it's quite like, this is first turn, this is your second turn, this is your third turn, this is your fourth turn. You know, then the rounds change, your competitors change, you all kind of line up, then you get called out, first call outs, and all of that. There's quite a lot going on. So God knows how that felt for you to be like,
yeah, because I just like, there's this person, okay, well, I'll just take a look. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And there's another person. Oh, it's like, how many people are there? It's just like, because it was on, like originally the first show was 2 days, so Saturday and Sunday. So that's how big the show was. Yeah. And because they were awarding pro cards as well, so it is quite a big thing.
Huge show.
It was back in like IPB pro cards and like and all this sort of stuff. So I've actually got the shot of Wesley Visors.
Yes.
Winning his IPB pro card.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so that was, shows you how
he
way back
is a
when,
massive name in the industry.
Yeah, Olympian,
hugely.
classic athlete.
Yes.
Yeah,
huge.
Seen him, huge in person as well.
Yeah.
The Dutch Oak, as he's known.
Yes.
Yeah, very much like an Arnie, but the Dutch version. But yeah, it was one of the big thing, because I remember we went back to the house, the Airbnb, and then we like download the photos, all that sort of stuff, and then we were then sending out the pro winners to send that, and then I remember like posting that, and then it then actually got shared on like the Mr. Olympia page. It's probably still, if you scroll back all the way to like 2018, it's probably still on there.
Wow.
Like the post that I was just like, oh, it's my photo.
That must have been pretty cool.
Yeah, it's just like, wow, this is actually like something I want to like try and get more into. So
Yeah.
then, you know, when it's like the next show, I was then like the main front of stage photographer. Jodie was then doing as like side of stage stuff.
Yeah.
But that's also then how I met people like Phoebe Hagen.
Yes.
Because there was like the Pro Bikini show. So then met Phoebe and Max, and like still really good friends with Max at the moment. You know, I've been out to Olympia and watched Phoebe. Well, went to Vegas and watched Phoebe compete at her first Olympia. And
Phoebe is a UK bikini competitor, and she's been to the Olympia. Oh my goodness, she's competed in quite a few Olympias, and she's very, very high up in sort of the industry. So an incredible athlete to look up to.
yeah, and it was one of those that when you look back now, just like, oh, from that I've then known this person and this person.
Yeah.
It's when I go like back through, because at the time I was still like very new in the industry.
Yes.
So I was still just like, I don't know who this person is or who
Yeah.
this person is.
Yeah, and it is quite daunting. I mean, I find that even people speak to me and say names, and I'm like, oh, I don't know. But then I always say names to other people, and they're like, oh, I haven't got a clue who that is.
Yeah.
And it just kind of, you get used to, and I think with Instagram now, it's so easy to figure out who's in the industry and who's like, you know, competing and what. And obviously with me, obviously a female, obviously more sort of steered towards the female sort of competitor side of things. And you do just kind of get to know sort of who's the big names.
Yeah, and I think like you said in the previous one, it's the fact that because there's so many federations in the UK,
It's so confusing.
it's just like you can then look at the top level in terms of like the Olympians,
Yeah.
but then like who are your PCA pros or who are like these pros, and because there's so many different pros
Yes.
and like everyone's giving out cards and pros and all this sort of stuff, it's just like, oh, okay. But then like Olympian people, I then look back at, I've got still some shots and just like look at this lineup, it's like, oh, that's so and so and that's so and so.
Yeah, who now have
this
these
bigger,
status
just
names.
like, wow, I can't believe that I've shot these people. Like even at the very first show, the Royal London Pro, the giant from Gladiator, Jamie Joel.
Oh my gosh.
So I've got like a very first photo of like me shooting him and stuff like that. So you know,
I was actually watching that film yesterday.
the film, you know, the
yeah,
the
and
BBC.
in the BBC and
Yeah.
to the program. Oh,
Yeah.
it's gone mad. That's crazy.
Yeah. So it's all these things that are just like snowballed from then. So fitness photography and like the stage stuff is just like, oh, right. Now I'm trying to like make a name for myself for it. And then unfortunately, like things, we then lost the contract, like shooting for Two Bros. There's some like behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah.
But it's just like, oh, okay, well, you know, it is what it is then. And then
And also the industry is always kind of like growing. It's constantly changing, and sort of how things are going with federations and where things are like, it's constantly evolving because of like, you know, just how things are growing more than anything else.
yeah. So at the time, I was still shooting the fitness stuff on the side of my full-time job.
Yes.
So this is like 2018. And then 2019 rocked around. And then at the college, they went through like a marketing restructure. So then they're getting rid of like specialism roles. So like my digital marketing role was then like class as specialism. So then you had to like apply for your job again.
It's a bit of a weird.
Yeah. So then they're just like, oh, well, now you have to do like digital marketing. You've got to do the social media. You've got to do like ad campaigns and just like, well, that's not what I signed up for, you know.
Yeah.
My thing was that. So you could either apply for your job again or take voluntary redundancy.
Yeah.
I'm just like, well, I'd rather do that than like try and do something I'll be happy with.
Yeah. And was then that your like kickstart and to kind of open up those doors elsewhere that you were doing?
Yeah, kind of, because I'd done like the show stuff before and then
Yes.
had like a bigger like online presence in terms of like social media. I remember like taking the voluntary redundancy. So then I was just like, all right, now I need to like, I think it's like a month's notice that I had to give. And then in that month's time, I then had Fitness Superstore approach me.
Wow.
So I'd done some stuff for their branch in Gloucester.
Yep.
And then they might have just started being like Gloucester fitness photographers and then found me and be like, oh, he's a local person. He can go in and like shoot some stuff.
Yeah.
So it was like, went to their HQ and then shot some stuff of some of their like gym equipment. So this like big, massive like home gym stuff for their like websites and like ad
Amazing,
campaigns. So it's like, oh yeah. You know, that whole thing is like, oh, how hard can it be? You know,
Yeah.
that's fine. I can do that. I can photograph these massive things.
Yeah.
It's just like, But I didn't really know what I was doing. But luckily, from the college side of it, there was then a production company that would come and take photographs of the prospectus.
Amazing.
So all of the students and stuff like that. And then one of the people there were just like, oh, well, why don't you just like take the leap and do that? Just like, well, I don't really know what I'm doing. So, well, you know, either did we at the start. So just like, oh, okay. So then when the fitness superstore approached me about doing the whole gym stuff, I just said, well, Spencer, how do I, you know, do this? You know, what do I need? So, you know, reaching out to people that do it on a regular basis. So then, you know, bought like a white cloth background and do all this stuff. And so then like got the gig for that. I sent off an invoice and like, I'm now sending out invoices and I'm just like, oh yeah, I want to charge this much money.
Yeah.
And I remember them approaching me to be like, oh yeah, we've got like 4 more machines that need to be shot. And just like, oh, okay, I'll send the increased revised invoice. It's like,
I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to look like I do.
It's like, yeah. If you send the increased price one, it's like, okay, increased price. So just say, I'm now like charging this company like more that I'm making a month for like a day's work, 2 days work. It's just like, this is crazy.
It's crazy. And it must have been sort of so exciting as well at the time with what you were growing with sort of working with, starting to work with federations and being in the bodybuilding industry and sort of just growing more and more to everything come to life.
Yeah. So like with the federation side of it, because I wasn't shooting any federations at the time, but then because I made contacts through shooting the previous one, I then had Suki from NFM reach out to me because they were looking for a new photographer for their show, because the previous people, there was a bit of an issue with something and photos weren't taken and all this sort of stuff.
And it's capturing everything. I mean, there's a lot in sort of a bodybuilding show to capture. And especially now, like more and more people are wanting more. Obviously, the reels are coming into the side of things as well. And I think even as a competitor, like waiting for your shots to come in, it's like that's what you look like. That's where the judges have looked at you from. So it's really cool to have. Yeah.
So then landed the gig with NFM.
Yeah.
So I had some stuff from like the previous shows I'd done, but then I also shot some stuff with her friends. It was in like a pantomime, so it's like some live stage stuff. So you know, I sent that across, be like, oh, here's some examples. You know, I've got some bits and pieces. And then I was like, yeah, that's cool. So you know, there's this show. So then I like had that gig landed as well as something with bodybuilding.com.
Amazing.
So this is all around when I've handed in my redundancy.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah, my full-time job. So I'm just like, yeah, I'll take this.
Yeah.
Like, oh, can you come and shoot on a Wednesday? Yeah, I can shoot on a Wednesday. Whereas before, it's
I've got all the time in the world.
Yeah, it's like, no, Saturday, Sunday, that's it. Whereas now, Wednesday, no problem. I can do it Wednesday. So yeah, had that. And then the first show was then like 5 years ago, September for NFM. And then like my name was like the lead photographer name. Because originally it was all under Jodie. And I was like working under Jodie, whereas now it's like I'm the main photographer. Yeah, so it's my name. Yeah. It's my stamp. It's my time to do everything. Yeah. But then whilst I was like, okay, like taking the stage shots, I wanted to improve how I done it previously. Because before, I tried to like shoot to a laptop, but you know, it didn't have power. And you know, a show can be a very long day.
They are very long.
Like, especially like the time I get there, because I'm there. Well, you're probably there for like makeup and tan and everything else like that.
It's never ending not so much for the guys, but it's
well, some guys might have some makeup. You never know.
Yeah. But yeah, bodybuilding shows are long and it can vary depending on how long they are. It chops and changes in the day, how many competitors are there,
time of the season, you know, how busy the show is and stuff.
Yeah. So I guess what would your typical hours look like on a bodybuilding sort of show day for you?
So the very first show I got there probably like 8, and this is like when the shows would like start. It'd be like a morning show, and then it's then like the evening show and stuff like that. So get there at 8 and then start like setting up. So when it was this first show with NFM, I then looked at, you know, like what software do I need, everything else like that. So that's why I then started using like Capture One for like tethering, and then had like I remember going to like a photography show at the NEC. So it's like cameras for like crafts of cameras, you know, sort of.
Yeah.
Like, oh, well, there's this camera.
I love that, the crafts for cameras. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty much what it is. Yeah. We'd be like, what do you mean a photography show? What, you just look at cameras? Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Pretty much. Like cameras and like road mics like this, you know, everything else like that. But I was just like, right, I need to buy like this certain tripod and this certain head to make sure that when I'm like shooting these shows, that I'm ready for it. Whereas
Yes.
previously, I sort of like winged it, didn't really know what was
Yeah.
going on. But yeah, I'll turn up like 8ish and start setting up. So making sure I've got power, because like the main thing, like for me, is because I'm shooting to a laptop, I always need to have power. So that's what
Yeah.
I found when I shot with one of the other shows that had a laptop. You're then like shooting, and like the show isn't like half an hour long. You know, you might have half an hour for one class, but the show goes on for a long time.
Yes, they are there a lot. And I've been to shows which have finished 9, 10 p.m.
Oh,
Like,
my
it's crazy.
do you want to know my latest show?
Oh, God, I'm worried about this.
My latest show was 11:30 at night.
It's just crazy. You would have started at around probably, yeah, really
Like
early.
9 o'clock.
Yeah.
9 o'clock, because they'd like crammed like all the classes together. So it was like amateur, then they mixed pro in there, and you know,
They
the
are
big
big
lineups and stuff like
days,
that.
yeah.
But yeah, like 11:30 was one of my latest shows. But then
It's
the
a
show's
long
running
time.
back, so then that means people then like missing their peaks, and you know,
Yeah.
oh, you've been on at 8, so you're now on at 10, and it's just
Yeah.
like,
And it can be a bit of a panic backstage as well if you don't
Yeah.
sort of know in those timings. It's impossible because you don't ever truly know
No.
your timings. You just kind of go, okay, I've got to be backstage, a couple of 2-3
Yeah.
classes before I'm on, and then go from there.
yeah. And then like for me, I don't want to be panicking when I'm taking these photos, because I want to make sure that I'm like fully prepared. So that's
I'm
why
just ready.
I'm just ready to go, and that's it. You know, press a button and
Yeah.
away you go. So that's why, you know, I ended up buying like the right cabling and all this sort of stuff. And even like this year, I've then invested in like more stuff to help me, because there was some, I wouldn't say issues, but because I'm shooting the whole time, it's the batteries in your camera. You want to make sure that you're fully powered all the
Yeah.
time. So I upgraded my camera last year or the year before, and it was fine because you could like plug it into the laptop and it'd take like USB power and everything else
Yeah.
like that. But because I'm taking taking a shot, it then transfers from the camera to the laptop. It's still on the laptop. It was then doing both. It was then powering and transferring, and then like things were dropping out. So then I'd be like missing shots, and I'm
There's
just
a
like,
lot going on.
yeah, I'm just like, I don't want to have that stress. I don't want to be like going, oh
Yeah, it's
crap,
not
I now
worth
missed
it.
this.
Yeah.
So yeah, I ended up buying like a special like power supply for my camera. So then it's like plugged into the mains all the time. So I can actually like leave the camera on and then shoot and like turn off a setting, so it's
will
not
just
doing the
power,
power delivery and
yeah.
everything else like that. So it's taken out the variables of like what could go wrong.
Yes.
But it's things that I've then like learned over the years, because I remember like 3 years ago, I think it might be 3 years ago. Yeah, 3 or 4 years. Yeah, 3 years
Yeah.
ago. FitX show.
Yes.
So FitX show in
So FitX are another federation.
yeah, FitX. So originally
More letters.
yeah, more letters, more well, it's like a half thing, isn't it? 'Cause
yeah,
it's like
yes.
Fit and X, yeah.
Yeah.
But originally it's just meant to be an expo. So that was meant to be 2020.
Yeah.
So 2020 was meant to be the year when the first Fit Expo was meant
Yes.
to happen. And there wasn't a FitX Federation at the time. It's just like the expo.
Yeah.
Because I remember doing some social graphics for Suki, because he was meant to have a
Yes.
show at the Fit Expo and stuff. But yeah, 2020, that was a fun year for me. You know, fully self-employed.
A great time. COVID.
Lockdown. That's all we'll say.
Yeah.
Gym shut, no work. That was amazing. I think I had like one show maybe that year. I can't remember. Or this might be the year after. But yeah, very, very tough time. But yeah, 2021, 22 was then like a FitX show up at the Liverpool.
Yes. I think that was one that Charlie did.
No,
Oh, it wasn't.
this is a different one.
Different.
Yeah, so there's 2 times there at Liverpool. So this
okay.
is like the first
First one.
Yeah. So it was when you could still do bodybuilding shows, but you couldn't have lots of people gathering together, which was a strange concept.
Very, yeah.
Yeah. So they were still able to put the show on because it was you had
have no one in front of you.
well, you could have limited audience. So there were still people in the audience, but it was like
Wasn't the
limited
same.
numbers.
And you want the audience. Like
Yeah.
the audience are there they row you up as
Yeah.
well. I will never forget on my first show, I think I managed to get like 40 people to get tickets.
Yeah.
And they were
I remember. Yeah,
screaming, like, let alone when I went to Wales and I had my little gang of 4 people because I was
Yeah.
like, guys, can you come and drive up with me?
Yeah.
Because I'm doing this show in Wales.
Yes. But the so about like making sure that things don't go wrong is the fact that I shot this the FitX show and then shot that as all fine. It's on like a hard drive, and then went and trained at a dedicated gym in Liverpool, the massive like green Watson gym. Went home, loaded up the software, plugged in the hard drive. It said database error. I'm just like, oh, okay, this is weird.
Oh no.
And then it's just like press repair, can't repair. Just like, what? Well, I was just using it yesterday. Like, what's
gone wrong?
What's gone wrong?
Oh my God.
And then
That must have just instilled all the fear.
I still like have panic each time I like finish a show, like from this like PTSD from just like finishing a show, making sure I'm like plugging it in, and making sure stuff's still there. Because the thing is, like, all the stuff is still there, and then started to like copy things over and move things along, and there must have been like one random file that was like corrupt,
And it just wasn't happy.
and then boom, all gone. I'm just like,
Oh no.
oh no, what's happened? And then like on Google, be like, data recovery software,
Help.
fix hard drive now, quick, please, help
These
me.
are people's stage shots.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh.
yeah, because obviously like people have like paid me to like shoot these photos.
Yeah.
So you've got the athletes wanting the pictures. You've then got the federation wanting like the shots
the
from
winners and stuff. Yeah.
And then I just thought, oh my God. And then like run downstairs to the mum and just like, oh, everything's gone wrong. So, oh, what's happened? And then like try to sort of find some stuff. Luckily there was like some hard drive recovery specialist person that was in like Chippenham. So for me, it's like hour away or something like that. So bearing in mind, I just like trained on the Monday in a gym, then got back late, rang this guy. I just like, oh, I've had this problem, you know what's going on? And he was just like, oh, well, if you come and see me, I'm still open now. So literally like drove down the Chippenham.
It's like, go.
Got there. It was there like
fixed.
raining and everything else of that. Because I remember Darren sent me a message. He said, oh, do you have the dinner photos? I was like, dinner photos? I think he means winner, you know, an autocorrect error right there. Just like, why do you want photos of my dinner for? You know, it's just like, you're not having photos of my dinner. I'm just like, oh my God, you know, I need to tell him that this has happened. So like took the hard drive to the guy, and then so I always say with like the stage shots from the day of the show, give me 7 days to then get them back to you.
Yes.
You know, 7 days, not 7 minutes of you getting off the stage. The amount of people that would then message me to be like, even like when I'm still shooting, like they would finish their class. So they're in classic. I'm now onto bikini. Hey mate, yeah, what are the pictures? When are they done? It's just like, I'm still shooting the show. Like you may have finished, but
I am not.
I
still
am not.
Here.
Yeah, I've still got 5 hours left of this before I even look through the pictures.
Yeah.
And one, you've not even ordered them. So, you know, if you put that order in first, then you might get the pictures.
Yeah.
But yeah, how long are they going to be? There you go. 7 days, you know, is the maximum. So gave this hard drive to this guy. And then like he sent me, he called me the next day to be like, yes, I've had a look. Yeah, I need to do a deeper dive. And I was like, deeper dive?
What is that?
Yeah, just like,
help me just recover these photos.
Yeah, because the thing is that on that hard drive, I bought this like big, it was like a 4 or 5 terabyte hard drive that then had all my stuff, like personal shoots from that year as well.
Yeah.
On the hard drive.
Okay.
And I'm just like,
there's a lot.
I've got like work that need to get done on it as well. So then had to like ring the guy to be like, if I bring another hard drive, can you transfer the stuff that's okay onto this hard drive so I can then like carry on working?
Oh my gosh, this is stressful.
Yeah. And this is, and people are messaging me like, oh mate, you got the photos ready yet? I'm just like, well, I'm still like in the process.
Stressed,
I'm trying to like sort out this situation right now. And then I just thought I need to tell people, you know, that's what's taking so long. Because like normally, like most times I'm able to get them out like day, 2 days after.
Yes.
Because over the time I've learned how to get like a slicker process in terms of, right, everything's done in like a running order. So I get the running order of the show. And then I shoot, you know, first time bikini, you know, and it goes through like class by class.
And typically all of the federations, you will work through all of the categories. And I guess you'll just have them there ready to go, like bang, bang, bang.
Yeah.
Sometimes it chops and changes.
Oh, many a time. Many a time there's certain federations that will be like, oh, we're going to add this class and this class and this class. And I remember when like NFM first started, because it used to be like Next Fitness Model was what it was originally called. So you'd have things like muscle model and like fit mums, tattooed models. So you had like 90 odd categories, well not 90, but you know, a lot of categories to then go through and be like, oh, this is going to take a while. And then they'd like slowly condense them down and everything else to that. But I still have to like go through and manually like create each folder for it.
Yeah.
So when this like hard drive problem happened, I was just then wanting to tell all these people that like bought these photos from me that there's this issue going on.
Yeah.
So just like, oh, do I put out a social post? And then
It's hard. I'm really stressful because it's that pressure of you probably knowing how much these photos, and they do mean a lot.
Yeah.
For having that documentation. So God
Yeah.
knows how you felt. You must have been so stressed.
So what I ended up doing was just, rather than putting it out to everybody, is I then just emailed the athletes, because I obviously had their email addresses and everything else like that, and be like, hey guys, this has happened. It's with a data recovery specialist. Hopefully, we'll get some good news and we'll do all this. But the thing is, like with social media, you send it out, the people then screenshotting it, put on stories and all this sort of stuff.
The downfall of social media is once one thing is out there, it's out everywhere.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, okay, well now it's only to 60 people, but now 60 people also have these many friends. And,
Yes, yeah.
But then luckily, he was able to then get everything recovered.
Thank gosh.
Yeah, and I was then able to get out all the photos. Bearing in mind, so I had this whole week of like stress, so all the photos out one day after my cut-off thing. But that's mainly because I then had a shoot up in Middlesbrough on like a Sunday or something like that. So that literally I shot that, drove back, was then going through the photos, sorting everything out and get it all done. And then I remember putting up a GIF, and it was just a GIF of John Wick. Just like John Wick, you don't mess with his dog. You don't mess with my stage photos.
Yeah.
And then we're back.
We're there.
And then like posted that, and then
amazing.
And then like the amount of response that people are like, oh, you're amazing. Oh, thank God for this. Just like, well, it's not me. It's the data recovery guy. Yeah.
You've saved my.
Yeah. But then from that, I've then gone, right, I'm not using that type of hard drive anymore.
Yeah,
so
just
it's
improving those systems.
Yeah, improving those systems, which is something I've learned over time. That be like, right, make sure I've got a backup of this, and do that, and it's something that you then like develop.
Yeah, and you're ready for it.
Yeah,
it's always that fear of like losing something, especially something so like valuable to people as well. And you really are capturing so much of what their hard work has done. I mean, I did what by the time you shot my NFM show last year, I was on week 29. Which is quite a lot. So to have those photos, it means quite a lot.
Yeah.
And how did you find, like, when you're capturing sort of their presentation and the shots, like, how do you kind of envision to capture that? Like, it must be something, especially in routines, more and more federations and stuff, each competitor will have their own either eye walk or routine, and it's quite a lot to capture in one as well.
Yeah, so like when I was looking at like other federations, just like seeing how they shoot it, and just like, well, I just want to capture more like the emotion and like your dedication of like being on the stage.
Yes.
It's all well and good, like you go in there, you take a snapshot and that's it, it's done. But it's more like what it means to you, like being on there. So it's like the reaction photos is something I've been, quite, popular with.
Yes,
People sort of recognize you for, and it's just like, you captured this photo, and it's those little things like in an eye walk, like the sassy hair flick, or
it's those winning moments as well, and especially when people sort of get to those really high levels, like you say, capturing those pro card moments or those pro status moments, whatever it may be, is a lot, and it's really special for those competitors to see that, and it's like you say, that raw emotion as well, coming from it rather than just someone doing a shot.
And that's why like one of the years I then had like a side of stage photographer. So then there was like I was covering the front of stage, and then there was covering backstage or like side of stage. But then just like, well, it's then not like financially viable to then have someone else there if there's not enough people like booking.
Yes.
So it's one of those things that it's nice to have, but I'm now having to do like that as well. So I'm then like shooting like front of stage, and then when it's like pose down or if like the awards, I'm then like closer to the stage to then capture those raw emotions and moments that people are just like, oh, and the winner is number 4. Like, oh, it's me. And then you're getting that sort of like hands in face sort of thing.
I have one of those, 100%.
Yeah, it's one of those.
And it's it is such a, because even like me, you remember that moment and what you see out. So it's really cool to people see inwards.
Yeah.
And sort of those moments mean a lot. And obviously it's just capturing that magic of someone's journey because it's so huge, and especially being in the industry, and pushing so hard for so long. And it must be hard for you as well if sort of the lighting makes quite a big difference. And I can imagine you've probably had to, it must be hard if...
Like your Welsh show.
That was crazy. So the show that I did in Wales, it was in a gym, but it had an event space. But it was kind of like,
Well, you said an event space. That was just where they'd done like
they just,
boot camps.
yeah. It's like, it was decent space in here, but how they transformed it was quite cool. But it was something I want to say, like the roof was kind of like conservatory vibes.
Yeah, so it's
It was very
conservatory, like bright, which is, you want a bright stage, but you want a bright stage that's then controlled.
Yeah, not uncontrolled.
There's not uncontrolled. The fact that yes, we're in the UK, and then you've got the changing of the weather.
Yeah.
Oh, the sun's now covered by a cloud, because that then means all your ambient light has then disappeared from this roof. So now the stage is darker because they've then got these like two little spotlights on the side that aren't bright enough.
And it's just like they're just being drowned out by everything else.
Yeah, drowned out by everything else. And then you've got like the overhead lights that you could turn those on and off, but they make no difference because you've got these massive skylights that are, well, the sky's light.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like,
there we go.
Yeah, it's just like now it's dark. Especially if you've got a show that's then starting at 10 and then a show that's then carrying on until like 5, 6 o'clock into the evening. You're just like, oh, now it's
very different.
Now it's a starry night, you know. It's just like, yeah.
And it must be like, you know, and have you done theatres? I guess you've done loads of different locations.
Yeah, loads of different locations. So done gyms.
Yeah.
Done theatres, expo halls. Expo halls are hard as well because again you're sort of big, and then you can't really sort of control that. So like when I've done the shoot with Charlie, because Charlie done the two shows, so the X and then the Miss Fitness show. So it's one of those that lighting is like the key variable that I can't control that much.
Yeah, so until you get there on the day, you won't have a clue.
No, so like when someone like releases their show schedule and they say the venues, I'm then going on Google and like looking at the show, like the venue space and all this sort of stuff, and be like, oh, do they have lights?
Yeah.
Which there's always a benefit, but you know, like town halls, you know, done some stuff in town halls. So like this year had a show up in Scotland, and then it was in their like town hall civic centre, like the Athena in Leicester. That's normally a good one. So that's where NFM used to have their like final shows.
Okay.
But the thing is, like with a lot of venues, it's down to costing as well.
Yeah.
So like these big, massive like venues like theatres and everything else like that, they do cost a lot.
Yes, and they are huge. And some of these venues, like especially for the finals, like you say, they are massive, and the shows are huge. Like the competitors, oh my god, there's so many and so many categories and what they offer. And normally, obviously, the prizes tend to get bigger heading towards the sort of the final shows. And it just so it must be a luxury to be in those buildings. But
when you get a decent venue, a decent lighting, and it's just like, yes, this stage is what I want.
Yeah,
I want this stage everywhere I go.
Yeah. I could just pick it up.
Yeah, pick it up and like put this here and do this there, because it then makes my life easier, because it means that I'm then not like having to then go through and then try and edit the photos in a certain way and everything else like that. I remember doing a show at a theatre, Carriage Works in Leeds.
Okay.
So years ago, they had mixed lighting. So they had like LED lights, and LED lights produce like a colder sort of colour, and sometimes if they're cheaper they're not like bright white.
Yeah, you need.
And they had old halogen lights, and halogen lights
very different.
Very different.
Yellow.
Yeah, very yellow, and plus they take a while to warm up because it takes a while for them to bulbs to warm up and everything else like that. So what they wanted to do was to have like the whole moody vibe of like, and the winner is, where all the lights like dip down
and then come in.
So they then turn off the halogen lights, which is cool because then now it's dark. The LED lights are off. Okay, that's cool. And the winner is number 6, Emily. It's just like, boom, and the lights are on. The LED lights are on. The halogen ones are still warming up.
You're probably trying to figure out where the competitor is as well.
Yeah, I'm just like, I can't see the stage. Everything's black. And now these LED lights are now purple. I've been colour temperature the halogen lights, so now I can't see anything. So now everything's changed. So
now you've got to try and like
So I'm then like editing in Capture One to be like, right, I need to like change my white balance, right, add to this, move this, and do that. And it's things like that that are just like, if you just have it consistent and it's easy,
I will know, or you will know.
It will make it easier for me to do, because then one, you look better, because your physique looks then better.
And the lighting truly makes a difference to sort of, obviously your physique is your physique. What people are getting on stage with is what they're going to be presenting. but the lighting in it does make a difference. And
Yeah.
you can really notice when you go to different venues how that impacts people viewing your physique, aka the judges.
Yeah, the main people that are there.
That
Yeah.
we need.
Yeah.
And yeah, some shows are really poorly lit, and you can say obviously you have no control over that on the day. Neither do you.
No, and
it is a tough one to sort of come to terms with as well.
it's one of those things like people in America now, like photographers, videographers, and stuff like that, are then getting more involved in production and then bringing their own lights to help, like that.
And it just gets bigger and bigger. And I think as well for people listening, there's a lot behind the brains of the photos that are captured for your shows. I always, without you can't have a show without a cameraman. Like
No, it's just like
they don't exist.
But the thing is as well is what I don't. It's like I'm there to like capture your physique in the best light possible. Which if the light is amazing, then it's good. If it's not, then try and work with it. But then people still just like, boom, snap on an iPhone. Just like you've literally worked. How many weeks did you say you worked before?
29 was my last.
29 weeks,
Nice.
And then you stepped on stage for an iPhone snap.
Yeah,
It's just like surely you want something that's a little bit. More high end.
And the thing is as well, you're always going to capture the behind the scenes, like, with your medal, trophy, your friends, your family, you're going to capture those memories on your iPhone anyway. Yeah. And I think as well, it's so great to be able to have those professional photos as a part of your journey for what you're doing, especially for the comparison further down the line. I can't wait to compare mine next year.
Yeah, and it's a difference in terms of like quality as well. Because like an iPhone, it's always going to be bright, you can't see anything. Whereas like my camera is pointed at that stage, it's not pointing anywhere else.
Yeah, it's
literally the setting is there for that. But yeah, I still find it strange to people just like, oh, well, I got an iPhone snap. It's just like, yeah, but I can't see anything.
It's not the same.
Yeah, especially if you're like zoomed in on like digital zoom. It's just like, okay, you're in the back of the venue, you've now zoomed in. It's like, it's just like, is that your number? I can't
really see.
Yeah, I can't make out your physique. I can make out the grain of it, but yeah, it's just this blurry mess.
It's especially exactly that. It shows everything in your physique, capturing it. It doesn't sort of blur anything out, and that's what you want. You want to be able to see those raw comparisons of how your physique looks, and also so you sort of, not everyone looks at it as long term as say you or I do, but it's seeing that long term improvement to, or what you need to improve on, and especially with other people and what other people present on stage. So it's quite a lot, and awesome must be to capture from your side. Like you must enjoy it as that kind of.
Yeah, like for me, I always say I'm there for you guys. I'm there for the athletes. Like I can take pictures and that's fine, but I'm there to capture your moments, your memories, and everything else like that. And that's why like this year then started offering like videos and doing like the Instagram Reels, because I've seen how popular they're being like elsewhere. And I just thought, well, I've got like 2 cameras. So, I'm in the ideal spot. People have tried to do it before. They've not worked out that well with the video sort of side of it. It's just like, well, I'm there. So why get somebody else to do it when I can, record and then try and get everything else done? Because, my cameras are set up to do that. They do videos.
And if you're there.
Yeah, they're shooting in like 4K and everything else like that. So, again, how hard could it be? It's that common thing.
And
just
constantly must be from your end, like improving that and what you're offering to the athletes more than anything else. And it's really cool. And I think if any of you follow any bodybuilding accounts, there's so much more going on with Reels at the moment, and to capture those stage moments, those eye walks, those routines, because you're just gathering sort of more from what you're showing on that day. Yeah,
because it's all well and good like having a photo or so that still snapshot of just that one moment, but then having that video to be like, I just need to, especially on like an eye walk or a routine, be like, I slightly messed up here, or how can I improve that? Like posing coaches, having a professional eye walk filmed, to be like, all right, so you've done this, but you just need to like slightly twist your physique that way to then show it better to the judges and all that sort of stuff. So that's why I was just like, right, I can do the photography, been doing it well for 4 years. So then this year, right, let's try and do the videos as well. And then those have been sort of kicking off quite a lot, and especially like
it's been doing well.
Yeah, the last one at the NFM show, like one of them is on like 17.4K in terms of plays. Yeah, so
it's really cool, and I think people like to watch videos as well, and I think Instagram's catching that so much more now, especially with TikTok as well. It's really awesome, and I wish you had it last year.
Well, you just have to come
I'll
back
just
next
start-
year.
yeah.
Come back next year.
But yeah, it's really cool that you sort of more and more people are sort of going towards that, especially with when you see the Olympia and everything, like, you know, how they're presenting their reels. And it's such a big thing when you see these Olympians' eye walks or routines. Is so cool, and it must be cool to be able to give that to an athlete.
Yeah.
Aside from their obviously stage shots comparisons and things.
Yeah, and it's now like I put up a story the other day saying it's like, oh, with your routines, would you just like no music or just slap on any music? Because like how I normally send the videos are just completely raw, so there's like no audio in it, so you can then post up whatever you want to add.
Sort of, add
Yeah,
your music to
add
it.
to your music. But you know, with routines, you've obviously picked that song specific to that show, or you know how you've been posing for
And there's
20 odd weeks.
so much for another federation piece. Yeah, there's so much backlash, or not backlash, but when they just post a song to
You've got like a library of 10 songs and you're using the same song every show. And
compared to for each athlete, and it's like, well, I've picked this song for a reason.
Yeah, which I understand that they just, you know, want to get stuff out there.
Yeah.
Whereas like for me, you know, you're buying your reel from me directly.
Yes.
So for me to go in on my iPhone, Shazam your reel, Shazam what I filmed, to then find your song, to then go into like Premiere Pro, to then sync it up. It doesn't take that long, you know. It's like a minute or so to then do that, and then you then got your actual
everything in one go.
Actual song. Like yes, you could just have the audio from the stage, but then if the sound's not that great, you've got all the people cheering. Like I try and like mix the two together, so you've still got a bit of like the ambient sound.
Yes.
But then you've then got your actual track in there as well, because a lot of times like there's one from the Welsh show that's done at the weekend, the FedEx Welsh in Port Talbot, that this routine, amazing routine, and you can tell that she knows the song like so well, because she's there like every pose is hit and she's there lip syncing it and all that sort of stuff. You matching that music, it looks
crisp.
Yeah, it's just like every sort of beat of just her going like it's like tricep, and then she's there mouthing it. Whereas you just, you know, put on a training audio, it's
not the same, and you haven't got that same kind of link to it. And I suppose as well, it would do even better, sort of from your perspective, and for the athlete, you know, to have that is really something to match up together. I know the song that I did last year, like it's still got such a place in my heart with when like sort of choosing it, and people where they come from for choosing those routine songs is like another world.
Because
so
you don't know people's backstories from it. So, you know, people might have picked that because, you know, it means something, because like a lot of times like routines that it might be like someone's like passed away and it's their favorite song from their friend and they've dedicated to somebody and that was their. Whereas if you just go, oh, let's just add this TikTok training audio, it's just it's not the same. But, you know, for me, I'm there to capture your show day, your routine, and your music you've picked is all part of that as well. So yes, I'm good at terms of capturing your emotion on the side of stage stuff and getting your winning moments. But now we're like leveling it up again with you know, having the reels that are then with your
sort routine audio,
routine audio and everything else like that. So just to, you know, make your show day as special as it is, because you know you've put a lot of hard effort into it, and then like I'm there trying to make sure that I'm putting as much effort in as I can to capture those sort of creatively. So from the photography standpoint, and then also the video side of it as well.
And I think it's really awesome to be able to sort of speak about capturing that side of things, because I think with bodybuilding shows, and I've spoken about some of the subjects on here, we always talk about the actual stage stuff itself, like, and it's really cool to have your perspective and to have you sort of travel to come onto this to speak about it, because I suppose you don't really get to speak about it much either, and what you post is all your shots and the videos and everything, so it's really cool to sort of speak a little bit further into things, because even from my perspective, sort of all you're focused on as an athlete, you're like, right, I'll get into the stage, like this will be that, I'll get that after, and you know, hopefully sort of all of those moments are captured, which they 100% will be. But
it's a lot of trust as well, because like you're trusting that photographer to not miss that moment. You're just like,
because you have no idea. You've just got to do what you've got to do on stage.
Like you're like, you don't control anything else like that. You know, you're just going, all right, I'm doing my routine, do this. You know, I'm being judged by this person. Like, all right, I'm in this place. And I'm there trying to make sure that I've got every part of that day, you know, documented as best as I can, which, you know, is something that I've been sort of, you know, known for doing quite well.
Progressing and leveling up. And really, really cool to speak about that side of things. And honestly, thank you again for coming on
Not a problem at all.
today. And I'm sure if there's any questions from you guys, or you have for probably more so Matt than me in this department, or if you want us to come back, or if you have any questions or anything like that, please do let us know on Matt as well. And yeah, it's been really, really cool to delve into this and speak about the lifestyle shoots and the bodybuilding side, because a lot of feedback from people listening, some people like the bodybuilding subjects, but obviously it's nice to cover sort of what out there for the average everyone can do and can achieve as well, more than anything else. So yeah, thank you so much for joining me.
No,
Obviously, I'm sure I will see you very soon in the next year.
See you on that stage.
Scary. It does terrify me to think that this time next year I'll be absolutely peeled again. But yeah, no, it's nice to enjoy it and also capture and speak about sort of what we did a couple of weeks ago. And I know a lot of people were really interested, and sort of so many comments coming back like, these shots are amazing. I'm like, I know. If you haven't seen them, I have posted some of them to my Instagram. And obviously, if you want to book any shoots with Matt, he is around and available for that.
Yep,
and hopefully you all enjoyed this episode, and I shall see you on the next one. A big thank you for joining me on my channel and tuning in. Find me on Spotify, Apple and Google Podcasts, Amazon and YouTube at Diary to Empower. Follow me on Instagram, m_power.fitness, and TikTok, m.ibert. See you on the next episode.